What?
I need a reason. Don't say money. Why do this?
Why not do it? Because yesterday I walked out of the joint after losing 4 years of my life, and you're cold decking Teen Beat cover boys. Because the house always wins. Play long enough, you never change the stakes, the house takes you. Unless, when that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house.
Been practicing this speech, haven't
A
you?
little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed
No, it was
it.
good. I liked it. Team beat thing was harsh.
The year is 2001. Daniel Ocean, a.k.a. Nick Hinkson, has been released from prison. I, Rusty Ryan, a.k.a. Randy Barrage, have just picked him up after finishing my shrimp cocktail. We are planning to pull off the podcast heist of the century. This is Rewatch Play, your dive into the stories we love and how they're adapted. Today, episode 14, we are covering Ocean's 11. Nick, I just need to know one thing. Tell me this pod is not about Tess or I'll walk.
Oh, I wish I knew that quote off the top. I'm like killing myself. I can see the scene. I can see. We need to talk. Okay, no, we need to talk now. Blah blah. He walks up. Tell me it's not about Tess. He says,
Or I'm gonna.
"What's he said? It's not just about Tess.
It's not just about Tess. It's not just about Tess."
Man, I wish I had some warning. I would have thrown that right back at you.
I know.
That was a good one. I like
Yeah.
that intro.
Cool. Obviously,
That's the new standard I'm holding you to, though. So
Yeah.
you better like up your intro game.
I know. I was a little nervous to compare us to George Clooney and Brad Pitt as stand-ins.
Have you seen us though?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We're basically their body doubles.
Might be the biggest lie I've ever told on a microphone. Obviously, this week we are covering the 2001 smash hit Ocean's 11, an adaptation of a movie I'm not sure if either of us even knew was a movie originally, the 1960 version starring the Rat Pack. Nick, is this our Super Bowl?
Dude, no, this is our World Cup. It's bigger than the Super
It's bigger.
Bowl.
Yeah. That's
This
true.
is the pinnacle of our movie watching careers. It's
I know.
Ocean's 11. We were 10 when it came out. It was the heist movie, not of the year, but of the century at that point.
I know. Clooney for you. Is Clooney, like, where's he on your actor echelon?
High.
High.
High. I'll tell
Yeah.
you that. I know. I don't know if I think he's the best actor in Hollywood right now, but he's certainly my favorite. And I mean, just look at him. Come on.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. He's incredible.
if I can rock the salt and pepper like he can, I'm not afraid of going gray anymore.
Yeah, I know. But unfortunately, that's what every male thought when the Just for Men came out in the mid 2000s. And nobody pulls it off quite like George Clooney. We're all
No.
we look like a stunt double that has been falling on our face repeatedly for 10 years.
And then you get all the guys that go, I want to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club.
Yeah.
It's like, no matter how often you go to the gym, you don't look like Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I also feel like we were old enough to remember when I used to like print off photos of Brad Pitt's hair to take into the hair salon and be like, make it look like this. And they're probably just like, kid, you're never going to look like that.
You're not him.
Yeah.
That's
The big
funny.
difference is he's Brad Pitt and you're not.
Yeah. Shania Twain called him out specifically in a song for a reason.
Yeah. Which
It wasn't an accident.
only one who can do that probably is Shania. Like, if anybody can do it, it's her. Because that's a big shot, I should say.
Yeah. And she is still killing the game.
Yeah.
I saw her at ACL last year and she was fantastic.
Yeah, I can imagine. Let's Go Girls hits and
She came on stage with the Foo Fighters and crushed it.
yeah, not surprised. But heist movies, I mean,
Wait, before we get
Yeah.
to heist movies,
Yeah.
we have a real life heist to talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
right now. I don't know if you saw this, but my roommate texted me the other day and he sent me a link to a USA Today article. These guys stole $30 million from like a money facility in California on Easter. And all of the news articles are literally calling it an Ocean's 11 like heist. This is what USA Today said. An elaborate operation that sounds like something from Ocean's 11 led to one of the biggest cash heists in the history of the United States. The crew so far has eluded capture.
that's wild. And today, like, It's crazy to get away with that.
Yeah.
I mean, how long has it been? You said it was Easter?
It was Easter.
When was Easter?
Early April.
Early
So
April.
it's been like about
almost
a
a month. Yeah, that's wild.
No arrests have been made.
It's crazy stuff. I don't know what it is about why that is just so appealing. Like, I never feel sorry for who's getting robbed, but for those people who are involved in the heist, I'm just like, hell yeah, way to go, guys.
Yeah, dude. Every little boy's like wet dream is to be part of the Ocean's 11 crew.
To be part of the crew.
To be that bad at Ocean's 11, The Italian Job.
Yeah.
Heat, dude.
Yeah. Probably the best heist movie ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always really into the DB Cooper. That's not really a heist, but it's a money stealing operation. And that's an unsolved mystery. I always wanted to know what happened to DB Cooper.
The only thing I know about DB Cooper is from Without a Paddle. And I'm just picturing you being in when they're all freezing in the cave, you're in the middle of that spooning session and you're just smiling.
Yeah, I'm deep on the DB Cooper forums on Reddit. Just trying to
genuinely thought they made that up for the movie. I didn't know that was real until you just said this.
Go read about it tonight. It'll take over your next week. Yeah. So today's episode, super pumped for, a favorite of ours. If you're interested in hearing more of our stuff, we've got a backlog of episodes. Check them out. We cover adaptations every other Tuesday. Nick, where can people follow us?
Yeah. First of all, you can follow us on Spotify. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your podcasts. So check us out there. Obviously, whatever platform you're listening to, thank you for checking it out. If you like what you hear, check us out on Instagram at Read Watch Play Podcast.
Read Watch Play Pod.
Read Watch Play Pod.
You had it like 7 weeks in a row. You were even good.
I know. I meant to look it up right before this just to make sure I didn't get it wrong, but here we are. And you can also give us all your bad reviews on Gmail at readwatchplaypod@gmail.com.
Perfect. Bad reviews
super often. Yeah, we check it super often. Yeah. We'll get back to you almost never if you email us, but it's there if you want it.
Yeah, I was going to say bad reviews like all the reviews of the original Ocean's 11 movie.
Oh my God, I'm surprised anyone thought to make this movie again after watching the 1960s version.
Almost nothing in common. I mean, I don't think many people even know there was an original. It has not stayed in kind of the popular consciousness at all.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah, it sucks.
Nothing happens. Heavy on the racism.
Yeah, heavy.
Heavy.
Yeah. So the 1960 version, Danny Ocean, is the only recurring character from the original to this one. No?
No, Rusty is also...
He's not called Rusty, though, is he?
Yeah, he is. The number 2 is Rusty in the 1960s version.
Huh. Yeah, shows how much I know about this movie. I think the issue is every guy in this movie looks the exact same. And I don't know if it's because it was in, old footage. But I just could not tell the difference between anyone on the team outside of Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, and Frank Sinatra. That was the only 3 I could tell apart from each other. But the story for this one, Danny gathers a group of his World War II compatriots to pull off the ultimate Las Vegas heist. Together, the 11 friends plan to rob, I think this one was 5 Las Vegas casinos in one night. And I think they trim it down to 3 in the sequel, or the remake, I should say.
But keep in mind, there's only 5 casinos in Vegas in 1960. They're literally robbing all of them.
The entire town.
Literally, with one road in and one road out.
Yeah, just smack dab in the middle of the desert. So Danny Ocean, the Clooney character, played by Frank Sinatra. So I think the plan is to steal $1 million between these 5 casinos, which in the inflation calculator I plugged in is about 10 million today. So each guy was getting about $909K. Pretty good take home for a heist. You can't live on it for the rest of your life, but a solid chunk of change
for a while.
You can lay low for a long time.
I laughed when they said they were stealing $1 million.
Yeah, it was literally Austin Powers.
We get the warhead and we hold the world ransom for $1 million.
That was immediately what I thought of when he's been in the cryogenic since the 60s. And
$1 million.
and they're like, that's not going to be enough.
2 million?
Yeah, 2 million.
$1 billion.
So yeah, the Rat Pack is famously the cast of this, or I think that's what, if anybody knows what this movie is, they know it stars the Rat Pack. That's probably it. Which was Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop. So the original movie, like we said, was released in 1960, and it was directed by Louis Milestone. Got to be honest, never heard of the dude. But he actually directed, which kind of surprised me, All Quiet on the Western Front. A recent movie was also a 1930 movie, which he put out. And this other movie called Two Arabian Nights, both of which received the Academy Award for Best Director. And he also directed Of Mice and Men, which there was another remake of that I feel like we had to watch in school.
Yeah. We had to watch that really old black and white version in school.
Yeah. And Peter Lawford, so one of the Rat Pack, was first told of the film's basic premise by a director, Gilbert Kay, who heard of the idea from a gas station attendant. And this is kind of wild. And I don't know if I believe this. Maybe it's more common then. There was a higher profile of gas station attendants. But could you imagine if Tarantino was pulling, up to a Wawa, pumping his gas, got a movie idea and was like, you know what? I'm going to run with that from this guy. Like,
I mean, is it that much more ridiculous than Tarantino working at a Blockbuster and writing Reservoir Dogs at the same time? Like, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I guess everybody's going to start somewhere. And maybe this gas station attendant was just shooting a shot, aspiring actor. And I'm just slamming his profession right now.
Yeah, you're going to look up that attendant and he's written everything from 1960 to 1975. If that was any good.
Yeah. So Lawford bought the rights in 1958 and Frank Sinatra became interested in the idea. A variety of writers worked on the project. And when Lawford first told Sinatra of the story of the movie, he joked that, forget the movie. He said, let's just pull the job. This is a great idea. And it seems like such a Sinatra thing to say.
That's so Sinatra.
And he also probably wasn't kidding. I feel like.
No, he for sure had the means to pull that off.
The only other bit of kind of background on the movie I had was Sinatra pulled in $700K for this movie, which is about $6 million today. So he made out pretty good on this.
He made almost more from the movie than they did in the heist.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, literally. Yeah, the real heist was Frank Sinatra pulling in $700K on this movie.
Right? Because they stole, what, $1 million? He was only $300K short of literally.
Yeah. So we both watched this movie. What'd you think of it?
I thought Ocean's 11, the musical, was pretty good. What you need to know about the 1960s version is because it's the Rat Pack, every other scene is somebody singing. Mm-hmm. And then they circle back and they sing again. Yeah. And then it's like I don't know, it's just a bit. They just sing. This movie is like 2 hours long, which is absurd for 1960, I feel like. And probably 45 minutes is show tunes.
Yeah.
It also felt a lot like White Christmas, where, have you ever seen White Christmas?
I have not.
It's Bing Crosby. It's a Bing Crosby film, and it's black and white, and it's the same premise where, that's okay, perfect. And then, everybody fought in the war together. They all come back. Everybody can sing. They're all singing throughout the whole thing, but they were all in the 101st Airborne. And I just think that the 101st Airborne, or the 82nd Airborne in this case for Ocean's 11, had to be the most musically gifted Army outfit of all time.
Yeah.
All time.
Yeah. I don't know whether they were keeping the entertainment alive, on the front, but man, they struck gold with that Airborne.
Yeah. Everybody sings.
Yeah.
In the Airborne, apparently. I mean, it's like a prerequisite. Oh, you want to jump out of planes? Let me hear your pipes.
Yeah. Like one or two songs, I get it, given who the cast is.
Yeah.
But it was a little, I think the weirdest thing was they were just singing at random times. Like
Didn't
Sammy
Dean
Davis
Martin
Jr.
have
would be,
like 4 solos?
yeah,
in
just
this?
driving a trash truck and singing. I don't know.
EO
I don't know.
11.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whatever.
Just like
Whatever it was.
repeatedly.
Yeah.
I think the tough thing about this movie is if I didn't know this was Ocean's 11 and I just walked in blind through the first hour of the movie, I'd have no idea what is going on at all. It's
None.
such a convoluted, I can't even say it's a convoluted plot. There's just a complete absence of plot.
Further, I knew it was Ocean's 11 when I was watching it, and I still didn't know what was happening after an hour of this film.
Yeah. It's just so meandering in the beginning, and you just really get the sense that this movie was an opportunity for the Rat Pack to just wear suits, look cool, say 1960 misogynistic comments, and that's pretty much what we did for an hour until we ramped into a different gear.
You got a lot of backstory for every single character, and then you even met Rusty's mother and her boyfriend. Like,
yeah,
you literally met everyone and their mother. Yeah.
I mean, so like a synopsis, because I'm not sure I can recommend anybody go check this out unless you're like a huge Sinatra fan or Dean Martin fan.
Even then, don't do it.
Even that, yeah. So the first hour is just it's like you're getting these brief introductions to all the characters. And I should say brief. I mean, there's a slew of them, 11 of them, you might say, and you kind of get a background on all of them, and that's all it's really doing. And there's not even a discussion of the heist. It's just you're learning about all these individuals, and then we finally get to the heist scene, which kind of gets thwarted by Rusty's mom's new husband, right?
Fiance.
New
fiance.
Yeah, they're going to be married.
Who also was wanted by the FBI because he's apparently some big crook.
Yeah. Very convoluted plot. What was there anything you liked about the 1960 version?
The suits. I thought they did look.
Yeah, they look cool.
Dapper. Yeah. I had this whole bit where I was going to show up in a suit and not even tell you.
I was thinking about it.
I forgot it on my way to Georgia, and that's really a missed opportunity because I was really excited to look like George Clooney. I was going to go salt and pepper the whole thing, but then the internet didn't work at home. It was a whole,
Yeah. I mean, and I get it. Like, if someone came up to one of us and said, "Hey, let's make a movie about a heist with you and all your friends. You're going to get paid to just be you," I'd be like, "Hell yeah!" I don't blame these guys at all, but just not a good movie.
Don't need to give me a script. I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to hang out.
Yeah, I'm in.
That's what they did.
Yeah, I will say, if I think of some praise for a little bit, I thought there were some really funny, sort of understated comedy bits, and I wrote down a few of them that I want to talk about. There was the one in the beginning where they're in the barber shop and the one guy comes in and he's looking for, I think it was Dean Martin at that point, and all the guys have the cloths over their face, and he's walking around to everyone and picking the cloths up and looking for Dean. And he's like, "Oh, nope, sorry, not you." So that was a good one.
That was a pretty good bit.
There was also, we said this was a musical. This was also a secret Christmas movie because it's set at Christmas time. And there was a point when the one guy walks out of the casino and there's a Santa animatronic and he thinks it's somebody patting him down. So that was a good one. There is also, I'm not sure if there was intentional comedy, but when they're pulling off the heist and they put the power out, they're in this kitchen and one of the workers at the casino is trying to light a candle to get some light. And one of the guys walks up next to him, blows out the candle, and then walks around him. Like this guy would not notice him in this kitchen. I'm like, this is not a foolproof method to go undetected, is to just blow out this candle. And now this guy's completely blind and can't see anything.
It was really funny.
I was like, what is going on?
That was really funny.
I was like, I have a feeling that like that wasn't it wasn't intended to be comedy, but I laughed really hard at that.
How could that not be intended to be comedy?
Yeah. The last one I had was in the beginning, because it's filmed at Christmas time. There's some sort of phone conversation going on, and the one guy makes a quip that he says, "I never answer the phone in December." And I was like, yeah, I feel that, buddy.
That's just good life advice, really.
Yeah. So some of that stuff I thought was pretty good, and there was like some charm to it. And I think if this movie were 10 minutes of getting the gang together, understanding who the players are, and then you moved into the last hour of the movie of the actual heist, I probably would have been okay with it. And I'd say, yeah, this is fine to watch. But it's just that first hour is just so unnecessary.
And then the cowboy shows up in a cast, but he doesn't really need a cast. And you think that's going to be important. And then you see him for like 20 more seconds in the entire movie. And I'm like, why did we spend 40 minutes of this movie waiting for this guy to show up to do that one parlor trick?
Yeah.
And then not even do it during the heist?
It makes no sense. I mean, the toughest thing, like you said, is just it's so hard to differentiate who's who, and on this group, where he the cowboy stuck out because he was playing like a blatant like hick cowboy, and I mean, outside of that, in the main three, I didn't know who anybody was. I didn't know why they wanted to do this. I didn't know
why what their roles on the team even were.
No, they didn't have those. A little bit, but it wasn't as defined as it is.
Yeah, a couple people worked in the casinos, but that was the extent of what you knew about them. Is that they worked in the casino and then they spray painted the ultraviolet stuff. Yeah.
I mean, and spoiler alert, this movie ends. They don't get away with it. I mean, from what I understood at the end, the money gets burnt in the coffin or buried with the coffin, right?
Yeah, I'm going to add a little bit of context here.
Yeah.
So, while the heist is going on, one of the intricate backstories you learn about one of the guys, the guy who's reluctant to join the crew.
Mm-hmm.
He has this heart condition, and it's a matter of time for him. And there's nothing the doctors can do because it's 1960. And after he does his job, he's walking out of the casino. He has what they allude to be a heart attack and passes. And then
not similar, but I think a reference to the Saul character in the new one who has the fake heart attack.
Yeah. And then they have this whole sequence where the mother's boyfriend figures out it's them and is blackmailing them for half the money. So they hide the money in the coffin, thinking the coffin's going to be shipped back to San Francisco, where they're from. And then the widow shows up and she decides to have him cremated. And they're all sitting in the service listening to the cremation happen, which I guess is happening in the next room, which also I don't know much about how funerals in the 1960s work, but that's definitely not how it works today.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround.
And they just listen to $1 million go up in flames, quite literally, and then they all somberly walk out, and that's how the movie ends. It was it was really bizarre.
Yeah, all that, they don't even get away with it. I thought it was a good twist, because I was expecting them to get away with the heist, similar to the 2001 adaptation, and I was getting interested in what was going on with this plot at the end after this guy has the heart attack. So yeah, there's some good stuff there in that second half. They just really blew the lead there in the beginning.
They did.
Yeah. Would you say? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say.
I have nothing nice to say. Yeah, just go for it.
Actually, before we do that, I mean, I feel like we had to say an absolute wild choice to also pretty much end this movie on blackface with Sammy Davis Jr.
In the
one thing to do it, not acceptable remotely to do it without him there, but the fact that they're doing it even with him.
Okay, they do it with him in the car, and then they make a joke about it to him in the car, where they're like, about how to get the color off or something. And my jaw dropped.
Yeah.
I could not believe that happened. That whole scene that was unnecessary. It wasn't even a necessary scene.
Wasn't at all.
I'm surprised it just hasn't been cut out of the movie.
Yeah, it was some sort of plot device for them to sneak out. And this
No,
one
they were sneaking the money into the funeral home to put it in the coffin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They were trying to get out of the desert, and into the funeral
But you
home.
knew what the plan was. You didn't need that scene. Just
so weird.
It's so problematic. Just get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like I don't know, just the fact that they're friends with Sammy Davis Jr., like apparently real close. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't alive for the Rat Pack, but the fact that you're doing it, not only doing it, but doing it with him and then making jokes about it. Earlier in the movie, there's like jokes about like repealing the slavery amendment. It's just like, there's some, it's par for the course for 1960s, but
man, the 1960s were wild.
Yeah, different time. I mean, and this came out in the 60s, so probably more 50s culture too. So not getting any better. So
it probably would have been shot in the 59, maybe even like 58.
Yeah. So for someone who's a fan of the 2001, is this a must watch, a skip it?
This is a must skip. What do you mean must watch? Don't even throw that at me right now, Randy. Don't watch it. It's not good. And if you're gonna watch it, I warned you.
Yeah. I'd say you don't need to pay too close attention to the first hour. Lock into the second half of the movie, and like second half's fine. It's like I'd give the second half like a 3 out of 5. The first half, I'm just not even sure what's going on at all.
I will say that the heist itself is much more plausible than what happens in Ocean's 11 2001.
Oh yeah, don't worry. We're gonna litigate the heist to see what's going on here.
I actually had no problem believing that a well-organized criminal crew could do the 1960s heist. All they did was switch some wires and turn the lights off. Really, is all they did.
Yeah.
So that it did. You have to give it +1 for that.
Yeah, we'll give it that. I mean, so speaking
of -11, so
yeah. Speaking of that, being a heist movie, I think when we talk about what this needs to get right to work, I think this is an opportunity to nail down what are the hits you have to play as a heist movie. I've got a few, and I want to hear your additions to what you need in a heist movie.
The heist movie in general, or
a heist movie in general.
Okay.
So this is, to make this remake work.
Yeah.
You're making a good heist movie. So what do you need in a good heist movie?
Okay.
You have to have the gang gets together scene. Quintessential heist. You have to have the first meeting where they review some video of the floor plans and someone says, what could go wrong? Or is that it when they lay out the security measures? You got to have that guy.
Yes.
There has to be an elevator scene involving some sort of tech with lasers. There has to be maybe some climbing apparatus to get up and down the shaft. An elevator scene is a must. Obviously, the vault explosion. You have to blow up a vault. And then you have
a heist movie and not blow up a vault.
I know. That's probably first on the list. And then you have to have some sort of ride off into the sunset. What am I missing? Any thoughts on those?
It's a great starting point.
Yeah.
I think you're missing a couple. Just off the cuff. Suits. You gotta wear suits.
True. Yeah.
And not the whole time, not the heist. You're playing this upscale character. You're telling me if George Clooney and Brad Pitt's characters were wearing what Mark Zuckerberg wears, that anyone's joining that crew? No. They're just not.
Yeah, you can't be in weekend wear here.
You need the somebody who's got something to prove, right?
Yeah. You need the Damon character.
That motive needs to be there for at least one of the characters.
Yeah, the plucky upstart, 100%.
Yeah. Matt Damon killed it, by the way, in that role. And I think you need, and this is broader than a heist movie, I just think it makes for good motive, is some sort of love interest that relies on this outcome, relies on the outcome of the heist being successful.
Yeah.
You need that.
Yeah. You need an outside tie to the real world. Some stakes.
And you just need overly witty, unrealistic dialogue that's so much fun. Like it needs
Yeah.
to be super witty and jokey, but not get to the point where it becomes like corny and campy.
Yeah.
And if it is going to be campy, it better be really good.
Yeah. And that's a dangerous line because I think people watch the chemistry, which we'll get into, of Brad Pitt and George Clooney in this and think, I can talk like this to my friends and I'll seem cool. And you're never going to seem as cool. It's not going to
You
work.
sound so dumb. It's so embarrassing. It's so
embarrassing.
cringe.
It's so cringy. Yeah.
It's cringy enough that if you do it and you think about it 10, 20 years later, like I am right now, I'm still embarrassed for myself.
I know. But we just all want it to be that. It's all right. That's a great list. I like those additions. And I think that they're things you have to have, especially the somebody to prove. It's a core member of the team right there. So as we think about the 2001 adaptation, I had originally wrote down, I'm not going to nerd out too much on the actual movie making side, but I want to have some fun trivia for us. Then I got into researching this. My life got derailed. I found this website called Production Notes that just detailed everything that went on. Insane stuff. I'm still going to try and keep it brief. But there's a few great things. So we said this was released in 2001. Huge movie year. Unbelievable box office. Realized how much this informed my taste in movies.
Hit me with it.
Oh, you want to hear some of them?
Yeah, I'd want to hear something. You can't say that and then not tell me.
Yeah. I mean, the top box office that year were Sorcerer's Stone, Fellowship of the Ring, Shrek, Monsters, Inc., The Mummy Returns, Training Day, Memento. I mean, that is just a murderer's row of movies right there, all across all genres.
Where did Ocean's 11 fall on that list?
The 5th highest grossing movie that year.
I'm not even surprised.
Massive success.
That makes, not only am I not surprised, it makes sense that Ocean's 11, as good as it was, wouldn't have been top 5, like would have been just barely eking into the top 5 that year. Yeah,
I mean, and still a huge success. I mean, not only did this do well, I think it grossed $450 million, which is a lot then. And
on what kind of budget?
Look, I'm not sure. Look up the budget while I continue with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Not only did it do well commercially, but it was critically pretty well praised. I mean, spawned 2 direct sequels, Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 13. And then they had the Ocean 8 spin-off movie, which in 18, you have the budget. $85 million.
So figure double that for marketing.
They probably made 150, 200 million on this.
Yeah, and that's before it even came out on DVD. And Blu-ray?
Yeah, I mean,
it was like a second release back then. They probably made $400 million on this movie at the end of the day.
And this was definitely one of the first DVDs I feel like we owned as
10-year-olds.
Yeah, as 10. Yeah, like this Italian Job and Shrek, because it was the same. like these were some of the because it was right in that transition period. Because I feel like we stopped buying VHS around 2000. So this was one of the first, and it was during that period where like you had a DVD and you just watched that.
Yeah.
Ad nauseum, because you didn't have streaming. There was nothing else to do. Like it's the only option you had.
One of us probably rented this from Blockbuster.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If it wasn't a direct buy right away, it was definitely rented from Blockbuster. So the movie was directed by Steven Soderbergh. He's an interesting guy because I know his name and I feel like I know his movies, but then I look up his IMDb list and I really haven't seen much by him. But he's really known for, outside of this, Aaron Brockovich, movie with Julia Roberts, Traffic, Sex Lives, and Videotapes was his first one. Mm-hmm. But he was the director and cinematographer for this movie. And relating back to the original, he said he was really precise in his approach to remaking it. And he said, you have to decide early on what type of film you're making. And he said that this is a little bit of a throwback to an earlier period in cinema, meaning that this movie it's never going to get gratuitous. Nobody's getting killed. Nobody's, there's not excessive, sex or gore or anything like that. He's like, it's just kind of a wide ranging appeal of a movie. That is super palatable. Like nobody's the butt of the joke for like the original Ocean's 11.
There's also not a lot of cursing in this.
Not at all. very family friendly movie, which
I'm trying to think of one F-bomb in the whole thing, and I can't. Maybe Terry Benedict says it once or twice.
Maybe Terry Benedict or Ruben. I could see Ruben dropping an F-bomb.
Yeah.
And he said that was, conscious. He didn't want this movie to feel mean-spirited or dark. He wanted it to be, kind of a sparkling movie was his thing. And as he was thinking about getting the cast together, Clooney was first choice right away in kind of his transition from TV star to movie star. And everyone on the cast took a cut to be in this movie because they were that psyched about it, which is awesome.
I mean, just go down the cast. You had Clooney, Pitt, Bernie Mac was at the height of his career in 2001.
Yep.
Julia Roberts, Matt Damon. I mean,
yeah. Carl Reiner,
yeah. Do you need to say any more?
Yeah, just a huge cast of just people who were really excited to be in it. And Clooney had said he said that the original Ocean's 11 is probably more notorious than it is good. And it's
that
the first checks out first time the Rat Pack appeared en masse, and he's like, they were the epitome of cool. None of us felt like we wanted to compare ourselves to that because you can't beat that. So they wanted to take a different tact. I think George, unfortunately, used to look pretty damn cool. And yeah, so they started bringing all these people together, and they ended up selecting the Bellagio as kind of the focal point for where they were going to stay because I don't know much about Vegas. I've been to Vegas once. Have you been to Vegas?
Oh yeah, I love Vegas.
Yeah. So I think the Bellagio is it's the crown jewel in a way of Vegas. At least at that
really
time,
nice.
It was the nicest. It was the most scenic for setting all that. And a producer on the movie had some sort of relationship, so they brought that in. So
that's really what it was.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. They saved some money by staying at the Bellagio, and that's
yeah. But apparently the cast on this had an insanely good time and really loved each other, where it was early in Matt Damon's career, and George said, I'm calling him George like I know him, said after the movie ended, Matt Damon called him he was in Paris, and he said he missed everybody, and he was telling George I miss the guys, and I just want to, can we do something else? And he's like, I can't imagine this guy's in Paris right now filming another movie, and he's calling me to tell me how much he misses all of us from filming this. I thought that was funny. Some other quick hits. The Bellagio let them use real footage of their security cameras for all those scenes. So that's actually what in 2001 that security cam footage looked like.
Really?
Yeah. The wig used by Rusty when he's in disguise as the doctor was Mike Myers' wig from Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, 97. I thought that was great.
I love that.
Andy Garcia's line to Brad Pitt, if you should be picked up buying a $100,000 sports car in Newport Beach, I'm going to be supremely disappointed, was in reference to the owner of the Bellagio, Stephen Wynn, whose daughter was kidnapped, and the kidnappers were caught trying to spend some of the ransom money in Newport Beach, and they attempted to buy a very expensive car there. So that was an actual thing that happened of the owner of the Bellagio.
No.
Is that wild?
That's really cool. That's a really cool fact.
Yeah. And the last one here, I'm throwing this in strictly for my fiance, as she loves the movie Vegas Vacation, was a producer, Jerry, I don't know how to say his last name, Wine Taboo, played the high roller Jilly from Philly in Vegas Vacation. And he's seen at the craps table with his partner during the Papa Giorgio scene in Vegas Vacation. So he claims as the producer that this is a spiritual successor to Vegas Vacation, and that those two guys are still running the craps table, which that's just using your powers as a producer for really fun things.
Yeah.
So some good tidbits we had on the background there. Do you want to give, because the plot differs a little bit as we move into the 2001 adaptation, can you give us what is a summary of the plot in this one? Because they're not World War II veterans, singing and dancing through this movie. What's going on in this one?
Yeah, to be honest, I think your explanation of the plot earlier was pretty good. So this is probably going to sound a little bit redundant, but Danny Ocean who's an ex-con, pulls together, 10 other people to pull the heist of the century. And they are going to try to rob 3 casinos on the same night during the biggest boxing fight of the year. Danny also has this side motivation of trying to win his ex-wife back, who is dating the owner of those 3 or the manager or owner of those 3 casinos, Terry Benedict. And shenanigans ensue, and they attempt the heist, and hilarity ensues.
Yeah.
I think I just used ensues twice, but I'm going to run with it, and we're going to be fine. So
it's all right.
I don't want to say too much. I feel like the statute of limitations on spoilers for Ocean's 11 has long since expired. But
I mean, who hasn't seen this movie?
Should somebody wander in here not having seen it, I don't want to give it away. So
I mean, if you haven't, stop listening to this and go watch it right now, because it's an incredible movie.
Yeah, it is. It still holds up.
Yeah.
23 years later.
Yeah. So yeah, give me the deets. What did you think of the 2001 adaptation at a high level? Do you remember seeing it the first time? What did it do well for you? Broad brushstrokes.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely remember everything I did at 10 years old. So I vividly remember the first time I saw this, but I really love this movie. I don't remember the first time I saw it. I couldn't tell you if we were 10. I couldn't tell you if it was 2 years later, 5 years later, whatever. But this movie is awesome. This movie holds up. It's got everything on the list we talked about. Is the heist itself the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life? Yes, it is. Like, there's no way around it. But you're not watching Ocean's 11 for the plausibility of the heist. You're watching it for the witty dialogue, the cool guys in suits, the elevator scene, the action sequences that aren't over the top and gory, and it's just so well done on so many levels with just so many cool people that I don't know how we're not talking about this in another 25 years.
Yeah, no, I agree. Friend of the pod, Dave Bachman, wrote in on the Instagram. He got right to the point and said, I love it. And you know what, Dave? I agree. I love it too. I mean, this
great answer.
I feel like the rewatchability factor of this is also so high because the movie just has an insane jokes per minute ratio where it's just quip after quip after quip. And every time I watch this, I hear something new. I pick up on something. I maybe understand the heist a little bit more of what's actually going on here. And I think it's just the chemistry of everyone on this movie is so good, and the plot is fun, and the cast is having a great time, and you just leave feeling so satisfied and happy with this movie. It's like it ends, and you're just like, it's like one of those, you just look around at each other and you're like, that was great. Like, that was such a fun movie. And I've never met a person who watched this and was like, yeah, not a big fan of Ocean's 11. Can't name one person.
This is the easiest Greg Hinkson rewatch award that we've given out, I think, because this is why that award was created. I guarantee this was one of those movies my dad watched 30 days in a row until everybody could quote it in the house.
Yeah. I mean, I watched this movie ad nauseum as a kid, and
it's from the golden age of cinema when movies were 90 minutes or less.
Yeah.
They were short, they were direct, they were to the point. You got in, you got out with either a great experience or a bad experience, whatever. But I didn't sit through 6 hours of Ocean's 11 to hate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was the perfect length.
Yeah, this one's bumping right up on 2 hours. And I feel like the script is just super tight. Like, there's no wasted time in this movie. It's like you're just on this train track rolling along. You're having a great time. You're looking out the window and you're just kind of smiling with your friends. Like, this is great. I'm having fun. Are you having fun? And that's all this movie is. And that's all I wanted.
It's the exact opposite of the 1960s version because that was 2 hours and I couldn't wait to be done watching that.
Yeah.
That was one of those where I debated if I really needed to finish the movie to have this conversation. On the flip side, Ocean's 11, 2001, I genuinely didn't think this was 2 hours. I didn't look at the runtime and I was like, oh, it's got to be an hour and a half because I was not bored for a second.
not at all. Yeah, not an exaggeration to say this is one of my favorite movies ever. It's unbelievable. I love it.
Is it better than Jurassic Park?
No. But it's a 5-star movie for me. Those that kind of get that, it's to me, it's just perfect. There's nothing I would change about this movie. You want to roll into some rapid fire questions?
Yeah, you know what? I really liked yours that I saw on the list, so I only have one for you today, and then I'm going to let you pop off your couple. So, pew pew.
Pew pew.
Which version had better fashion?
I think, honestly, the 1960 version is timeless, where there's some stuff in the 2001 that didn't age well.
They just had those tweed suits. They were just so buttoned up. They looked good. I agree with you.
Yeah, we said this where at the time, Brad Pitt looked really cool with his kind of gelled hair. He's got the crazy shirts, and everyone wanted to look like that. George Clooney, very understated, but he doesn't look out of place today in Ocean's 11. Great haircut, the suit looks nice, the shirt, white dress shirt, like it's just very classic, timeless stuff. So I'd go with the 60 version, but Clooney looks good. I mean, to be fair, to say that.
If Brad Pitt wore that today, it would probably bring it back.
It still works because it's him, but yeah.
Yeah. You can't argue with. Some guys are just so good looking, they can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't matter what time it is, what century it is.
Yeah.
Dude, he made me want to wear armor after he did Troy. Like,
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Must be nice.
With cheekbones like that,
yeah. I gotta know, what would be your role on the heist team?
I want to say Clooney. I really do, because it's Clooney,
Yeah.
The only person more impressive than George Clooney is his wife, Amal.
Yeah.
But I'm probably one of the two idiots that are constantly screaming at each other and causing a distraction.
Yeah.
That's probably us on this heist team. If I'm being honest.
Honestly thinking that the Malloy brothers is probably us.
Yeah.
I definitely have the RC car, and I'm just standing there complaining about everything.
You're the one letting balloons going up, and I'm screaming at you that you're balloon boy.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm probably a balloon boy. So that's where we're at on the heist team.
Yeah.
We had one person, shout out Kevin Davis, send a message on Instagram noting the infamous Brad Pitt eating in every scene. So I got to know, what is your favorite Rust snack?
I liked when he had the nuts. He was like constantly eating, like, I don't know if it was like cashews. They were like a bigger looking nut, and he was just, because he would throw them in his mouth, I felt like. And that was pretty cool. It was better than just like picking it up. He was
just amazing stuff. And apparently he did that because you don't get to eat on set. So he convinced the director to work it into his character, so he got to eat the entire time.
Really?
Backfired though, because the Tess intro scene where he's eating shrimp cocktail, they kept having to do reshoots, so he ended up eating about 100 pieces of shrimp cocktail. So the tables turned a little bit on that one. I thought I had a third one. Where did it go? You said you're a Vegas guy. What's your go-to or not Vegas game, but casino game?
I'm going to say roulette is probably my go-to, but craps is a lot of fun. I'm not a blackjack guy. I get bored. You have to play a specific way, and everybody gets mad at you if you don't do that. But when you're at a craps table, you're literally just all playing together, unless you're that one asshole who's betting against everybody and nobody likes him. And same thing in roulette. There's no like right or wrong way to play. You're all placing your own bets individually, and everybody else's decisions have no impact on your outcome. So those games feel a lot more collaborative and group and fun, and that's why I like them.
Yeah, I'll have to learn that game because I don't know anything but blackjack. And I do hate that. I hate when I'm sitting at a table and I feel like I got to play a certain way because, Tough Nut Sally on the corner over here
thinks he's counting cards.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, chill out. I don't care what the book says. Like, I just want to play blackjack and guess if I'm going to be right.
If you're sitting at the same table as me, you're not counting cards because I'm looking for at most, I'm doing $5 a hand.
Yeah. Also, I'm getting served drinks. I'm not in a state to be counting anything. So really, let's stop the shenanigans.
Yeah, halftime, I'm not sure if I have 21 and I can see my cards.
Yeah. You want to talk casting and performances?
I don't have much here, but we can do it.
Yeah. Casting and performances hit me. What are you thinking around this one?
George Clooney.
It's perfect.
That do I need to say anything else?
I know. I mean,
It was killer though.
It was
I will
killer.
elaborate.
Yeah.
I mean, Clooney, Pitt, Damon, Julia Roberts, Bernie Mac. I mean, everybody was just fantastic. Everybody nailed their roles. I
Mhm.
didn't feel like anybody tried to steal the show. You didn't
No.
get someone who felt like they were overacting. I genuinely don't think that there is a single person I would replace on that cast.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I might have one, but we'll talk about it when I get into my nitpicks a little bit. But
Okay. So you don't want to talk about that here?
we'll talk about it in casting and performances. I guess I can just
Okay.
say it right off the bat.
Yeah,
The Don Cheadle. I wish I wish they would have just casted an actual British person, because the accent was I didn't notice it as a kid. I'm not going to pretend I had any British culture as a kid knowing that he was doing an accent there. But it was really noticeable to me watching it the other week, where it's not like a deal breaker, but if I were to recast someone, I might get I don't know. Yeah.
Why do you have to recast him though? Why can't you just have him drop the accent? Because I thought Don Cheadle was perfect
true.
in that role.
Yeah.
The accent, I'll agree. I could take it or leave it, but I thought
Yeah.
he was fun, and I think the way he brings some of that like physical comedy, you know, when he covers himself while he's
So good.
he's
Improvised too.
yeah, you don't get that if you cast somebody else. So
Yeah.
if anything, if I'm nitpicking your nitpick,
Yeah.
I would say keep Cheadle, drop the
Yeah.
accent, if anything.
Yeah, I could get on board with that. That's a good point. But I mean, in terms of the general cast, I feel like Clooney is more charming in the first 30 seconds of this movie than the entire original movie. It's just so good. And I think you just can't overstate the chemistry between Rust and Danny. It's lightning in a bottle in this movie. And some of their back and forths are just so good. Specifically, I had to write the one down. I love when Danny is still trying to convince Rust to do this, and Russ is like, "I need the reason, Danny. Don't say the money. Why do this?" Danny's like, "Why not do it?" And he goes on his tirade. He goes, "Because yesterday I walked out of the joint after losing 4 years of my life, and you're cold deck and team beat cover boys. Because the house always wins. Play long enough, you never change the stakes. The house takes you. Unless when that perfect hand comes along, you bet big and then you take the house." Russ goes, "Been practicing that speech, haven't you?" And he goes, "A little bit. Did I rush it?"
No, it's good. It's good.
No. Like, it's just so damn good. I mean, you're getting Pitt at maybe his prime. It's tough to say because he's done so many great things since then. But like,
that was the beginning of the Pitt era.
Oh my God. You're getting Clooney transitioning from ER, just off Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Like you said, Bernie Mac at this time. Bernie Mac show was running wild. And
his stand-up was, he was selling out theaters across the country every night.
Yeah, I think he's kind of like the unsung hero for me in this movie. Of his every scene he had, not only did it make me miss Bernie Mac, but he was just killing me. Like when he was fighting with Damon in that scene where they're trying to distract Benedict, it was just so good.
Funny. So funny.
It was so funny. It was great stuff. How'd you feel about Andy Garcia as Terry Benedict?
The character was absurd, but it worked in this movie. Just that over the top, dry, boring jerk off.
Yeah.
Was exactly what the villain needed to be. And I think he nailed it.
Totally.
I also I think a role like that is perfect for the movie, and it's good character acting, but there's not much like acting to it because it's flat the whole time, but it's supposed to be flat the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
I thought he did a very good job
with
with the role, but
Yeah.
it's definitely not an Oscar bait role by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and I like that, like, a worse movie would have had a scene at the end where he's freaking out, that he lost all this, but he stays in who this character is and is still very reserved about it, even when he's getting very angry, like angrier and angrier.
Do me a favor. Run.
And hide.
Run as fast as you can and hide. 'Cause I will find you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's...
There's where they curse. Run and hide, asshole. Run and hide. Yeah.
All right. Now, I have complied with your every request. Would you agree?
I would.
Good, because now I have one of my own. Run and hide, asshole. Run and hide.
Yeah, but even that's asshole.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, he intimidated me as a kid in this role. I was like, it's Terry guy. He's kind of scaring me a little bit.
I'm not crossing Terry Benedict.
No, absolutely not. And I feel like the movie hits a different gear when it was already sailing, but then him and Tess come onto the scene, and I feel like the movie just really ramps up again.
Yeah.
Where they just add this nice balance of the other side of what's going on with this heist, which you don't really have at all in the original. And I love that. And Terry's scenes with Carl Reiner as Saul, they stressed me out so much. And they still stress me out a little bit because I'm having this uncomfortable awkwardness where I'm like, I know Saul is lying and Terry knows he's lying and he's going to get caught. So their stuff together it was just great. Good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I give it a 5 out of 5 if that's not obvious here. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I think I was going to go 4.5 out of 5.
Shut your mouth
for that Don Cheadle, but I don't know. I don't know if you can get a better cast than this. It's a 5 out of 5. It's a 5 out of 5.
I was about to fly to Florida to smack you if you didn't give this a 5.
Yeah, it's one of the best ensembles ever put together. It's great.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
I'm going to say it. This might be divisive. It was better than the Rat Pack.
Easy.
Not in terms of performance, like the cool factor.
Yeah.
Of those guys in that movie beats the Rat Pack.
Yeah. So who do you got
I'll fight an old man. Yeah.
Yeah. Fight him. Yeah. Screw you and your Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra, he's got some hits. I like him, whatever.
Yeah.
Dean
I'll
Martin.
listen to his albums all day.
Yeah. He's got a few Christmas songs. I don't know any of his other stuff. Who do you got for best casting nominees? It's a tough one.
Yeah. I got one. No. I will give you, in good faith, I will give you a few, but there's only one correct answer, and it is George Clooney. But my other list, I had Brad Pitt, I had Matt Damon, I had Julia Roberts, and I had Bernie Mac. The people we keep talking about, I couldn't decide because they were all, everybody was great in their roles, but those, 5 I just listed, they were just they just had that little something extra. That was, you're right, it was electric. That is the perfect way. They were all fantastic. So those would be my honest to God nominees, but my vote would be George Clooney, and our friendship's on the line based on what you say next. So
yeah, I'll hedge this for later on awards, but I will say when I was stepping into this not knowing what your nominees were, there was a part of me that was thinking Julia Roberts because I'm like, Tess, she's just so good in this movie and she takes it to such another level. She's incredible.
So good.
She's incredible. And this might have also been my first experience with like true Julia Roberts. Like, I'm sure I watched some rom-coms in the 90s, but this was like, I was realizing who Julia Roberts was when I saw this movie. And such a great presence. But I think for best casting, I got to give it to George Clooney. I think what he does so well is not only does he just feel like a movie star in this movie, and he's the center of it all, and it all revolves around him. It's like he doesn't overplay it either. It's so understated and just an elegant performance. If I could use the word for him there, it was just perfect. It was really, really good. And the movie doesn't work without the Clooney type character. And this is Clooney at his best.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Talk plot execution. I mean, faithfulness to the source material, this is a remake of a movie, there's a source material, but we're not looking for a straight adaptation here because we don't want that. But talk about the plot. Should we litigate the heist here?
We absolutely should. And just before we litigate the heist, though, in terms of the faithfulness to the source material, I have to say it is the perfect amount of faithful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a group of 11 guys who all know each other because they've all worked together in the past on something, not World War II here, but on something.
Yeah.
They are taking down Vegas, which is notoriously, impossible to take down.
Mm-hmm.
And the general sense, especially of the main 4 or 5 characters, was brought through. And they got rid of, the things that were problematic, and they just made it a better version of that. It was a value add.
Yeah.
And so for faithfulness, I think it was actually really good.
Yeah. Yeah, they pulled some good stuff forward. Like we mentioned earlier with the heart attack, and Saul kind of has the fake one. Doing stuff like that is enjoyable to see them kind of pull those threads forward. So yeah, it was enough to make you feel like these were of sort of the same cloth. Mm-hmm. But 2001 just knocked it out of the park.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No debating that.
So let's talk about the heist. So the plan here is, and I'm going to try and walk through these steps. And this is what happens. Ruben backs them to rob the casinos. Yes. He's the financier because he doesn't like Terry. Terry pushed him out of Vegas.
Another character they brought through is the financier, the guy who can't go back to Vegas, and is financing the whole thing.
True. And they, I guess, rent a warehouse and they recreate the Bellagio vault.
Yes.
In this warehouse. And while us as an audience are thinking they're just practicing, what they're really doing is filming a fake version of the heist. And so they go off and they're doing the heist where they're going to cut the power to the city during the big fight while there's the most money in the reserves in the vault. They're going to send in their acrobatic Cirque du Soleil guy on the team to get in the heist through, I don't know, what would you call that? Like a little storage trolley for valuables? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Enough. So that gets taken down into the vault, and then he, gets out, they cut the power, they go down the elevators, and they rob the vault.
Mm-hmm.
And while this is happening, or they've already finished this and they've loaded up all the money, and they call Terry Benedict, the Pitt character, one other wrinkle first. Terry Benedict calls who he thinks is the police or the SWAT team, but they patch it through. Linus patches it through, and they show up as the SWAT team. And
the doctor.
And the doctor. And then Terry is watching this fake footage that they filmed at their warehouse of an altercation going down between the SWAT team and the heist team. When in reality, they've already loaded all the bags. None of this is happening. And they're giving Terry this option to let them go with half the money, and he gets to keep half of his, or they'll blow up all of the money and he gets none of it if they come after him. And as they are the SWAT team who went in, they walk out with the money through the casino, and they get to keep all the money. All of this was fake footage. Is that what happened?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
I don't think I followed that the first few times I watched it.
There's so many layers. I mean, not only did they break into a casino's back rooms to get access to their security cameras, but they had fake security cameras. They've hijacked their telephone lines so that they can control what calls go in and out. I mean, they're pretending to be SWAT. They had the crazy elevator scene. They get past the most elaborate security system ever devised to then get past the most secure vault door that's ever been created by putting a little guy in a room where he only has 30 minutes of oxygen and he has to get out and then do a backflip over some lasers to land on this one shelf to then climb over to, man, it is ridiculous in the most exciting and fun way.
Yeah. Also, a key plot element is they have to plant a phone on Tess because it's 2001 and she says, I don't have a cell phone, which was a thing.
Yeah. And then, but not only that, right? He plants a phone on her also to get caught by Benedict's people so that the guy he knows from jail can not beat him up, but pretend to beat him up so he can go pull the rest of this heist. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all over the place. Or not all over the place, I should say. There's a lot of layers to that's a good word for that you said. There's a lot of layers to this heist that I didn't realize the first few times I watched it. And I feel like even now I'm like understanding it a little more and more.
It's the best 7-layer dip you've ever had.
It is. And I think that you take it for granted a little bit now, but there's some great misdirections along the way in this that you've just seen this movie so many times, so you don't appreciate how great they are. But the fact, I remember the first time you realize that Danny's doing this for Tess, it added this whole nuance to what was going on. It was a shock at the time. You're like, oh, Tess is here. Tess is dating Benedict. Like, it was crazy when Matt Damon makes that reveal. Yeah. Also, I did not realize in the beginning that Danny being sidelined was a plot between him and Brad Pitt to even just keep the rest of the team on their toes a little bit. Like, he wasn't going to sit this out. Nope. Great stuff.
You need that 1-2 that can just run the show.
Yeah, and I think what this one really does with the plot, I mean, I think it's airtight. They make great use of everyone on the team and their roles. So you understand all the players in this. And even though it can be a little confusing, you're still tracking along the whole time with some nice surprises along the way. They just did a really great job.
Yeah. I got 5 things. I said what you just said.
Yeah.
It's what every good movie does well. The motives were clear and reinforced.
Yeah.
It was engaging. They didn't go too deep on any of the characters. They gave you just what you needed to know. We didn't need to meet everybody's mother, and we met 0 mothers in this version of the movie. Yeah. And the role each person played on the team was obvious.
Yeah. Any minor grievances or things you didn't like with the plot?
No. Honestly, no. I enjoyed this one from start to finish.
Yeah, the only two... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it, because I got to think this one out.
Yeah, the only 2 I had were, I never understood the scene where they're recruiting Basher, the Don Cheadle character, where Rust says, he ran into a bit of an issue, and he's away for some time. And then they cut to them pretending to be police officers and escorting him out of the crime scene. So it's like, did this happen in the past? Like, what's going on? Were they just banking on him doing another job and then them getting him out of it? I didn't understand the chronology of when they got Basher on the team. A little weird for me. Nitpick, but a little weird. And then the guy fake beating up Clooney, I still like it, but how long are you really going to sell that behind this door? I felt like that was going on for probably like 30 minutes, and like these guys never checked on him once. So those are my only 2 nitpicks.
I'll give you the first one.
Yeah.
The second one, I think it's just part of being a ridiculous heist movie. Yeah. You have to kind of be okay with it. But I agree that I remember having that same thought. But when the rest of the movie's so good, you just forget. I at
Yeah.
least forget about those little tiny nitpicks.
Yeah.
Because it gets so lost in everything that was done well that I'm
Yeah.
not thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. So what are you scoring this?
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give. I gave the plot a 4 out of 5. I think
4. You're not even a 4.5.
I think it's really good. But there were a few little confusing things that it's not perfect for me. So I'm gonna roll.
That's fair.
Still love this one.
It's not fair. Nope, I lied. It's not fair.
Best movie scene nominations. I've got 5.
I think I've got 3 that aren't going to be on your list that
Cool. Just
could
a
have been on your list.
testament to this movie. So yeah, I'll read mine off and then you throw yours in. The recruitment montage, maybe the best get the gang together scene of all time.
Fantastic.
Probably
Great,
the best.
Great nom.
Rusty realizing this is about Tess, and which bleeds right into Danny visiting Tess at dinner. Just excellent stuff. Julia Roberts just comes into the scene like the Kool-Aid man. The recapping of the failed casino robberies, I really love that when Ruben is walking through those.
That's
so
on
good.
my list. That's on my list.
It's very good. Just really funny, all of them. I don't know why. If that scene's on, I'm locked in.
And I want to just take a moment to talk about that scene because it goes throughout the decades. And the oldest one is in black and white because it was in the 30s. And then you get to the 50s and there's color, but it's so clearly the 50s. And then you have the hippie in the 70s. They just, the whole scene, they just completely changed like the color. And it was on a cinematic standpoint, brilliantly done. And just as a plot point, perfect.
Yeah. Playing like Take My Breath Away when the guy's getting gunned down outside the casino. Just excellent stuff. Benedict realizes the footage is fake. And the gang walks out with the cash. And then the fifth and final nominee I have was the final scene with them at the fountain with Claire de Lune playing. Just a perfect end. So those were my 5 thoughts. And what do you want to add into that? What did I miss?
I'm going to pick from your list. But the 2 that I had that I also thought could have been included were the scene. This is one of your what a heist has to have. The scene where Danny's explaining it and he runs down the list and Saul goes, Saul runs down the list. He's like, so if we do this and that, and we're just supposed to walk out. And Danny goes, yeah. And Saul goes, oh, okay.
Say we get into the cage and through the security doors there and down the elevator we can't move and past the guards with the guns and into the vault we can't open.
Without being seen by the cameras.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, well, say we do all that. We're just supposed to walk out of there with $150 million in cash on us without getting stopped?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Just like
yeah.
that. And then the battery scene when they're trying to blow the door and he's like hitting. It's kind of like prequel to the Joker doing it. Yeah. And he's hitting. He's like, did you change the batteries? No, I didn't change the batteries. He's like, you lose and Matt Damon's going, you lose focus for 1 second, calling that back from earlier. I thought that was a really fun way to tie that together.
Yeah. And the guy, the Asian guy is stuck with the cast in the door and is like, can't get it out.
Yeah.
So good.
I think I'm going to go with the 3 attempts to rob a casino.
Yeah.
I think
it's amazing
for the reasons we talked about. The other ones were very good scenes and very good with the plot, but the way they changed the look and feel of every one of those scenes in such a quick span, I just think it was so well done on so many levels.
Yeah, I agree. It's such a great scene, and I feel like I appreciate it more and more every time I watch it. The only thing I wanted to shout out on one of the scenes was the fountain scene. They said that it was slightly improvised, where they stood them there and they gave the cue that Brad Pitt was going to leave first, which makes total sense. He's on to the next one. He doesn't have time for this. He's still in the heat of the game. And Carl Reiner, Saul, was going to leave last, which makes total sense. It's probably his last job until they pull him back in, and he's just taking it all in. But everyone else was instructed to just leave whenever they felt comfortable or wanted to leave. So everything else was improvised on kind of the order of the leaving, which I thought was cool.
That is cool. I like that.
Yeah. World building and aesthetics. I'm just going to give you this right off the top. I gave this a 5. And the vibes of this movie
Really
are just perfect. I couldn't think of better aesthetics for a movie, and so could have gone so wrong and ended up going so perfect, where with the way they filmed this, they were really striving away from having it be very kitschy Vegas of like bright lights and bright colors. And if you watch this, actually it's like very like a little bit underlit and subdued. So they didn't want it to have that glitz and glamour to it, which many people would do with a Vegas movie, which I thought it made it just look so real and approachable. And I think that's what also makes it feel like you could watch this movie today and it wouldn't feel out of place, which I think is excellent. I love the shots of them driving the car, of kind of the behind Pitt and Clooney. That stuff was really good. And in terms of the world building, I thought this was fun. When Rusty says to Danny, off the top of my head, I'd say you're looking for a Boski, a Jim Brown, a Miss Daisy, 2 Jethros, a Leon Sprinkles, not to mention the biggest Ella Fitzgerald ever. This was a list of cons they created for this movie and actually had real implications and associated with all of the characters they brought onto the team. So I'll find an example of one. The Miss Daisy was obviously the SWAT vehicle they were using as the getaway car and things like that. The 2 Jethros was a reference to the Beverly Hillbillies in 1962, which are the 2 Malloy brothers, kind of the hillbillies of the movie.
Yeah.
So I thought that bit of world building for like the team elements was just so much fun, and a level they didn't need to go to for a heist movie, but they really did. So I don't know if you could get better vibes from a movie than this one. So 5 out of 5 for me.
I think you might have just sold me to up I gave it a 4 out of 5 originally.
Yeah.
Because something just felt like it wasn't perfect. But I think it needs to be a 4 out of 5. 4.5 out of 5, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll negotiate with you. I'll come up to 4.5 on plot. You come up to 4.5 on world building.
Deal.
I apparently do negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, I think the world building, when I think of world building, I think of it through like a more grandiose lens, but I think you're right. It was the exact amount of world building that a movie like this needed.
Yeah.
And aesthetically, it was great. It didn't blow me away. I wouldn't say it was the most aesthetically cool thing I've ever seen, but they did a pretty great job.
Yeah.
I feel like they captured the look and feel of Vegas. And like you said, they made it a little darker, a little more muted, which was really nice. And I don't have anything else to add to that.
Cool.
Except as we get into sound, I think that this is one of the most memorable uses of sound we have in a movie that we've done. Mm-hmm. That riff that plays throughout the whole movie when they're all together doing the heist stuff gets stuck in your head, and it's almost synonymous with the movie.
Yeah. No, I love all different parts of what they do with the sound in this, from the soundtrack, the original soundtrack, especially Tess's theme. If you go listen to it, you'll instantly know, like, oh yeah, this is what plays when Tess comes down the stairs. The needle drops are great. We already talked about Claire de Lune at the fountain. Papa Loves Mambo in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Just good stuff all around with the sound design. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think it was like a great but not perfect. But I really enjoyed what they did with my earbuds.
I gave it a 4 out of 5 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, it was really great.
Yeah.
But you're right. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close.
Yeah. Legacy standalone appeal. I feel like this is an excellent legacy.
5 out of 5. What do you, if you give this anything but a 5 out of 5, you're delusional. I mean, we're talking about this movie 23 years later, and it feels like we both just watched it for the first time. And I think people, it's going to hold up. It has held up and will continue to hold up. You can watch it over and over, and it still is fun and exciting and standalone appeal. There's nothing you need to know to go into this movie. Like as a standalone piece of art, this is fantastic.
Just a good time.
Yeah. 5
Yeah.
out of 5.
Yeah, excellent legacy. Successful sequels. You know, they put 3 on there. And I think when I think about legacy, everybody has seen this movie. Everybody owned this DVD. We talked about that. You can put this movie on anytime, anywhere, any part of it. And you can just have you don't even need to see the first 45 minutes. If you come into the scene where they're starting to build, you know, the stuff in the warehouse, you'll have a great time if you just watch that scene. If you just see, when, you know, they're kind of doing the discussion in, you know, Ruben's, you know, house, you're going to have fun. It's just awesome. And I think that this sits in this weird, illustrious territory where this is appealing to every demographic without feeling watered down. That it's like so shallow. This is the type of movie you could put on after Thanksgiving dinner, and everyone, you know, if you had a 10-year-old kid there to grandma, like everybody's going to have fun with this movie. Just so palatable.
Yeah.
Any quotes you want to shout out on this?
I was thinking about this because this is a movie that I feel is so quotable.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get beat into the ground like Borat or Step Brothers or, you know, all those movies where you have to listen to everybody do their really shitty impression of everybody. So I don't know if I have any specific ones that I want to call out because I like them being the quotes that I think about with this movie.
Yeah.
Did you have any that you wanted to give a little credit to?
I'll list a few. And I think what is tough about this one is it's back and forth. So it's like, unless you're quoting off yourself, it's hard to do quotes with this movie. But I love the one when Rusty says, "You scared?" And Linus says, "You suicidal?" And Rusty says, "Only in the morning." And so I like that one. I like when Rusty and Danny are talking and thinking they need one more for the job. And Danny's just like, Rust isn't answering him. And he just says, "We'll get one more."
Yeah. 10's good. 10 should be a good number.
Yeah.
You think we need 11?
You think we need 11?
You think we need 11?
Yeah.
Saul makes 10. 10 ought to do it, don't you think? You think we need one more? You think we need one more? All right, we'll get one more.
We'll get 11. We'll get one more.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
You're Bobby Caldwell's kid.
Yeah.
How's Chicago? Yeah. Oh, nice. Get in the goddamn house.
So good. I also thought the Danny and Tess, does he make you laugh? He doesn't make me cry. When I was 11 years old, that felt deep.
That's so deep.
Yeah. Who won the movie?
The cast. I think just the cast as a whole. And the other one I would say is fans of action movies who are dating people who don't like action movies. Because this is that great middle ground where it's not this overblown thing. And it, like you said, it appeals to all demographics. So if you are dying to watch an action movie and your partner just won't watch one with you, this is that compromise that wins you another compromise down the line.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I had 2 obvious ones. Clooney.
Yeah.
He's on top of the world here. He's just on top of the world here. In terms of a movie star. He feels like the guy right now when this comes out. And the other one I had was Brad Pitt. Because in a movie about cool dudes doing cool things, it's kind of hard to overstate how exceptionally cool Brad Pitt still feels. And to just come out feeling like that is insane, that he was able to just like even stand out still. And I don't know how he does it. Honorable mention to Tess, but Pitt was who I'd go with.
Yeah. I like it.
So that means we got an award for Clooney for best casting and performance.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go with the recounting of failed heists at the casino, and Pitt for who won the movie. I think you're going to total up to it's 15, 19 plus 23.5 for you.
Yeah.
And the exact same for me. 23.5.
Highest rated movie we've ever done.
Yeah, it's going to be a top dog.
It is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's earned it though.
Yeah, has. Obviously, we recommend this movie. Absolutely love it. It's incredible.
Yeah, if you didn't pick up on that by now, you're probably in the wrong spot.
Yeah, fire up Hulu, put it on tonight. Thanks for listening, everybody. Next episode, we'll be tackling The Queen's Gambit, a binge-worthy show that I think we all watched probably during quarantine in 2020. I actually didn't know it was a book till Nick recommended it and had a good time with it. If you have any thoughts or questions you want to share, please reach out to us via email at rewatchplaypod@gmail.com or on Instagram at rewatchplaypodcast. You can find us on all your major platforms, 5 stars only. Follow the show, hit subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks, Nick, for joining me. And stay out of jail, buddy.
I'll do my best.